Seeing on BBC and CNN and our own national broadcaster here in Ireland, I'm ashamed to admit, is the hostages. The hostages. We're in touch with the families. You know, this hell might be ending for them. News of a potential ceasefire in the genocide in Gaza is of course to be welcomed. We're all just hoping and praying that our Palestinian brothers and sisters will have this moment to pause and get their head round the carnage that has been their lives for the last 16 months. I don't want to put a dampener on anything. I just hope that the Israelis actually do what they say they're going to do for, you know, like the first time in the history of the state. But I do have to just comment on the way in which the corporate media is framing this potential ceasefire deal. I just find it just absolutely unbelievable that we could have had 16 months where the corporate media has been called out time and time again for its abject bias and racist framing of this so-called conflict. And yet at this juncture, where a ceasefire might be called, you display that you've learned nothing whatsoever. All I'm seeing on BBC and CNN and our own national broadcaster here in Ireland, I'm ashamed to admit, is the hostages. The hostages. We're in touch with the families. You know, this hell might be ending for them. They don't want to get their hopes up, but you know, they are praying that this is the real deal and soon they'll be home with their families. As if that's the start, middle and end of the fucking story. Do not get me wrong. Me, like every fucking Palestinian activist I know, we're not psychopaths. We'd be very happy to see the hostages, the Israeli hostages, to go home to their families. Who wouldn't want that? They must have been through an awful ordeal. That would be great. But that's only the beginning of the fucking story, you monstrous racists. Do you want to talk about hostages? Do you want to talk about people being held prisoner? There are 100 times the Palestinian prisoners being held in Israeli jails right now without charge. There are 8-year-old boys being held in Israeli jails right now without charge. Why don't you report on that? And why don't you report on the fact that the main story here is that the genocide of up to 70 or 80,000 people, or probably more, might be stopping. The worst genocide in modern times that has been live streamed might be stopping. Is that not the main story, as opposed to a few people going home to their family? Christ almighty. And you know, one good thing that's come out of this latest final stand of bias from the corporate media is that us as allies need to learn right here, right now, that our work just begins. These people need to be held accountable and they need to pay for being complicit in war crimes. And our work with Palestine, you know, we need to get stronger now and stick with them right up until the point of justice and liberation. Fuck you, corporate media. Free Palestine.